So, Shannon, has the conference brought anything relevant to your work at the Eqavet Secretariat? What would be the points that you would like to mention?
Yes, I would stress particularly the 5 projects of themselves, which have each looked at some of the issues of implementation of the Eqavet framework in their very specific national contexts. And we can see from the workshops the kinds of issues that people had to address, how they interacted with the key stakeholders in their systems, with the various partners within their systems. And I would say that for us this is a very important part of our strategy of building the new Eqavet work programme. And I think that there we have a very big emphasis, for instance, on how to best ensure the not only the implementation of the Eqavet framework, but how do we actually ensure that we enhance the quality of vocational education and training through deepening the quality culture. And this will be a very big part of our upcoming work, particularly in the working groups, where we will be looking at the responding to the challenges of the Bruges Communiqué, particularly in relation to quality frameworks for vet providers, but also addressing the issue of mobility and transparency, and how, in order to make the mobility and transparency doable at a European level and meaningful at a European level, how we build on the mutual trust and the how we enhance the mutual trust. And there I think Eqavet as a reference and how it interacts with other quality assurance approaches such as ISO, EFQM, etc. will be a very important part of this work. The other area, of course, here, which is perhaps more sensitive as you talk at a European level, is how we address issues of recognizing good practice. And here there are many ways you can talk about that. You can talk about an Eqavet label. You can talk about perhaps giving some form of recognition to the vet provision in countries, etc. But I think and countries will have very different views on this. But one of the messages we see from this conference is that while some member states may, and indeed some of the social partners may not react positively to the idea of a label when first mentioned, that once you start to unpack what is behind the idea of a label, then the key people within systems or within social partners begin to see the value of what is being done. So the issue is probably about how we use language. Also language to understand, if we're talking between vet and higher education, for instance, but also language to understand how we show excellence, for instance, within systems.
Thank you for mentioning the word excellence. This was one point in which my second question was directed. And the other word that I think came out several times today in the roundtable sessions is the issue of mainstreaming. The label, the recognition means some will be recognized as conformant, excellent. Where is the label threshold put? And if it's put at the level of excellence, how do we guarantee that the large number of students have access to quality vet, as it was a request by the student union representative this morning?
Yes, I think that this is a very important question, and we should not lose track of the importance of every young person's right to a high quality education, to a high quality vet. So when we speak about notions of excellence, excellence may always tends to be exclusive in some ways. In an education and training context, we're not talking so much about exclusion. I think what we are talking about is the combined effect of our efforts in a whole range of areas create an excellence dimension that enable us to say that vocational education and training at a European level is excellent. But I think that is quite different, for instance, from saying that we shall have a grading system for vet institutions and that you must meet certain criteria, otherwise you're excluded, because then you reduce significantly the amount of provision. But there's all of this happens, I think, in a very holistic way, and we need to look at what are the components of an excellent vet. And I would say that there you have the coherence within the system, within the approach. You also have the coherence between curricula, the coherence with teacher education and training education, and indeed with assessment. So all of these together, and this is the challenge for policy making, and this is the challenge for implementing within member states. All of these together create the excellence of provision which we speak about in a European context.